evening, everyone. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to share some of these ideas with you. And I just wanted to call your attention to the picture there under ABC Learning Series. That's a picture of Malabar Farm in Ohio. Now, that farm was started years ago by Louis Bromfield, who wrote some books. He was quite a pioneer in what we now call organic farming, because he knew we had to get back to a natural way of handling soil and livestock. He wrote a couple of books that I read back, about 65 years ago. It seems like I was in high school, and the books were Malabar Farm and Pleasant Valley, and they're still available. They're still a good read for anybody interested in natural farming and even the history of it in our country. So we'll move on, and I'd like to just review the ABC's mission statement, because I think it's so important to give us a starting point for what we're really trying to do. So we want to improve the quality of life for mankind by improving the quality of life for animals through natural nutrition. And along with that, we also like to go into the guidelines for achieving our mission statement. I hope you can all see this slide. I'm not going to read it word for word, but I want to go over some of it. We focus on the cause of the disease problem, not the symptoms. It doesn't do any good to treat the symptoms. You need to get to the cause. Our research and development, we're not looking for symptom relief. We believe most poor health problems in animals are due to nutritional deficiencies. We'll go into some of that as we proceed. We don't prescribe the use of poisons or heavy doses of single nutrients to force production. And improvement in health can often be dramatic when we get to a balanced diet, or we add nutrients that are lacking. It creates a dramatic improvement in health. We shouldn't confuse this with treating with drugs or medicine. We don't prescribe replacing the body's mode of action with supplements. And this, I think, is maybe the key sentence of this whole slide. We supply the body with what it needs to repair itself. And I think that's the essence of what we're trying to do with these concepts that we have. Dr. Linus Pauling was a famous researcher, famous scientist, only guy to ever win 2 unshared Nobel Prizes. And he had this statement: you can trace every disease and every infection to a mineral deficiency from unequally yoked energy fields. I think that's an astounding statement, and I think he's probably right. I know that mineral deficiencies are at the root of a lot of the problems that we have, not only with their livestock, but also with us human beings. I'm going to make a couple statements here. I hope I don't offend anybody, but I think that all of our domestic animals today, we suffer from 3 main problems that affect mineral balance. Number 1 is soil depletion. Soil depletion has resulted in lower nutritional value of crops. When you look at some of the old tables of protein levels, the mineral levels in some of our crops, there's a tremendous decrease in not only in the total mineral content of some of our feedstuffs, some of our forages, but a lot of it is not as digestible as it used to be. So when we farm land without using natural principles for these hundreds of years already in our country, soil depletion is just a common occurrence. Second point is confinement. All of our animals are more confined today than they used to be proper balance of calcium and phosphorus. And the phosphorus is of a type that is bioavailable. Most rations, most minerals use dical or dicalcium phosphate. And that's fine because on paper it looks like you're getting a nice balance of that, but the bioavailability factor kicks in. And for every little bit of phosphorus that they eat, they have to take so much calcium, and it's impossible for them to balance the calcium-phosphorus ratio for different rations that they have. So that calcium-phosphorus ratio is a critical ratio, and it's very difficult to balance that if you're using dical, and that's why we use some dical, but most of our phosphorus is from a source of phosphorus that's available to the animal without forcing them to eat excess calcium to get it. Another point of a good mineral is it meets the requirements for all the animals without excesses or deficiencies. That's hard to do. Like we talked earlier about a TMR, if you try to group animals together and give them all the same thing, one bag fits all kind of minerals, it just doesn't work well. You have to have a way to let the animals pick out what they need and avoid any excesses or deficiencies. A good mineral program automatically adjusts for different soil types and soil mineral balance in different parts of the country. If you've got a bunch of cows and they're in one state and you move them to another state, if you continue to feed that same mineral, that's not going to fit the soil type or the mineral balance in the new farm you're on, and the animals will suffer from those problems. That's why we need to have something that automatically lets them adjust their needs. The mineral program automatically adjusts for individual variation in mineral requirements. I think that's self-explanatory. Every animal has different needs, and if you force them to eat out of one bag of mineral, a lot of them don't get what they need or else they get too much. So, number 5, a good mineral resolves any negative effects of unbalanced rations. If you do have a ration that's not quite balanced for the mineral needs, well, you need to have a separate mineral program that allows the animals to make those adjustments to get everything in line for itself. Another thing a good mineral program needs is it needs some prebiotics, probiotics, and enzymes that enable the animals to digest the fiber in the ration, and that releases the minerals and other ingredients that are already there in the feed. That's a big cost saving, because we found that animals that are on a free-choice system, if you've got a DUA or our prebiotic, probiotic enzyme mix in there, a lot of times they'll eat less minerals because less of the store-bought minerals, you might say, because they're getting more out of the feed that they're already getting, so there's a cost saving there. And DUA also eliminates the need for consumption limiters. That brings up the point number 7, is a good mineral does not contain consumption limiters. Many people use those, they put them in a mineral so that the animals don't eat quite as much of the expensive items, and looks better maybe because it doesn't cost as much, but it limits the animal's ability, again, to get the things that need to balance their mineral needs. And then a good mineral today it needs to have a proprietary blend that helps to remediate the effects of glyphosate contamination. That's a big problem in feeds now. Quality of feedstuff, safety of the feedstuff. A good mineral program has a blend of ingredients there that helps to avoid some of the adverse consequences of that. Let's talk a little bit more about limiters and enhancers. As we said earlier, the addition of limiters or flavor enhancers is same as feeding a one-bag-fits-all mineral, because it interferes with the animal's nutritional wisdom that allows it to pick what it needs. choice system, you do get animals that eat more one thing than we humans think they should. But then the remedy for that is not to add limiters, but to find out what's going on with your other nutritional inputs. What's happening with the ration, what's happening with the water, what's happening in the environment that's causing them to eat excess vitamin A or excess vitamin B or excess zinc or whatever. Just putting limiters in them so they don't eat as much just really upsets the whole idea of free choice in our mineral program. So if your mineral program has, even if it's free choice, if it has limiters in it, then actually that's avoiding or negating a lot of the benefits of what we're trying to do with the free choice system in the first place. So here again, to use limiters is false economy. It does not allow the animals to take what they need, sets the timer, and this is, I think, important, sets the timer for future herd health and production problems, because we're not allowing animals to eat really what they need. Some limiters are salt, sodium bicarb, sodium carbonate, cinnamigaldehyde, which is some kind of a chemical. These all will limit the palatability or limit the animal's inclination to take those minerals, and that's not good for their health. At certain levels, salt is a carrier for some trace minerals. We have to use salt as a carrier for copper and zinc, for example, but if it's not in the right ratio, then salt can also be a limiter. And if it is used as a limiter, it's usually in combination with bicarb or sodium carbonate. And then just as a sideline, anytime you have free choice feeding, you need to have salt is required to be put out separate with all free choice mineral systems. Now, enhancers are kind of the opposite of limiters. It's what you can put in there to get the animals to eat more. I don't know why people think, or some companies think they need to do that, but I think that a lot of it is because under some programs, animals don't eat much of some of those minerals, and if the consumption of those minerals doesn't agree with the university standards of what they think animals should eat, then they say, well, we got to put something in there to get them to eat more of that mineral, so they put enhancers in there, and this practice, this forces the animals to consume an unbalanced mineral diet, and there again, it sets the timer for future problems. So if you see that there's a lot of soy products or other high-calorie sources or flavoring agents or things like that in some of your minerals to get the animals to eat more, there again, that negates the whole concept of free choice to allow these animals to exercise their nutritional wisdom and pick out what they need. Prebiotics, probiotics, and enzymes. These products increase fiber digestion. Fiber, I guess, is the main source of major and micro minerals in a natural chelated form. If you can't digest the fiber, you can't free up those minerals, and then they're not available to the animal. So if you can free them up, if you can get the good digestion, fiber digestion, that enables your animals to utilize all the good things in your crops. So the question is, why buy minerals when your feedstuffs can't supply them? But you need to get good fiber digestion. Same thing is true of protein conversion, probiotics and enzymes, prebiotics increase the ability of the animal to digest protein, break it down into the segments that it can use, and then there's less need to purchase protein from off the farm because you utilize grass-fed beef free choice system, and it's included in all of advanced biological concepts organic free choice system. So we add that to all of our mineral program because of the reasons we've already gone over. It helps protein digestion, helps fiber digestion. If you have fiber digestion, you want to, one thing you want to digest the cell wall. So the prebiotics digest the cell wall, and that releases minerals, sugars, and protein. To get the enzymes working, then that breaks down the cell contents, and that releases the amino acids, sugars, and starches. They all work together. We try to separate them out here just for illustration purposes, but they all work together to get the most value we can out of our feedstuffs. There's a graph showing this effect of feeding DUA on fiber digestion. Look at the difference, the grain mix. Don't feed a lot of that to grass-fed, but in dairy cattle, it's quite a astounding number that you can get 225% increase in fiber digestion just by feeding DUA. Grass hay is excellent, 69% increase in grass hay, which most animals would benefit from that. And even alfalfa hay, which is highly digestible, we still get a kicker and get another 18% increase in digestibility of fiber in alfalfa. So those are things that really make a big difference to the bottom line, not only of profitability, but the ability of the animal to utilize all of the good things in its ration and increases their health and productivity. Don't forget water. Water is the most important nutrient. As a rule of thumb, for every pound of dry matter, 3 pounds of water is needed. Sometimes, if the water is unbalanced in minerals or in low conductivity, the animals will eat more minerals than they need to compensate for some of those imbalances. But under our program, under the ABC Individualized Free Choice Mineral Program, the animals can adjust for excess or unbalanced minerals in the water. Unfortunately, it seems that the majority of universities teach that all animals have identical nutrient requirements and that all pastures and feedstuffs have roughly the same nutritive value. They use this single-factor mentality to justify the feeding of a complete mineral, a one-bag-fits-all mineral, without regard for the variations in animal needs or the differences in forages and feed. Some free choice systems only pay attention to the calcium-phosphorus balance, and that's an important one. But unfortunately, they also assume that all individuals are identical in their requirements for other vitamins and minerals, and if they don't make allowances for those differences to be compensated for, then the animals suffer from that. The average producer, regardless of what the universities say, the average producer knows that these concepts are false. But the average producer usually spends some time looking at his animals, watch what they do, and has a good knowledge of what's really going on with these animals. So in wrapping up this part of the presentation, our APC's individual free choice program gives the animals a true choice and allows them to use their, oops, I got an extra period in there. It allows them to occurring salt and mineral licks allow animals to fine-tune their own mineral balance. In the wild, the deer, buffalo, elk, and other wildlife lick minerals and carry it out to other areas, improving the soil balance. The manure deposited back on the soil is deposited back on the soil after having been acted upon by rumen bacteria, enzymes, prebiotics, and probiotics. Those forces all taken together actually over the years improve the soil and grass because it balances out the trace minerals and other minerals in the soil, resulting in better grass. That's in the wild. That's before mankind came along and started with confinement and soil depletion. Let's look at that same cycle if we force feed minerals. Unbalanced minerals, one bag fits all minerals, and force feed that to our animals on pasture. The soil is unbalanced. And logically, the grass, the minerals are not in balance. This imbalance in the grass, or forages, forces the animals to eat an unbalanced mineral. The effect of that is then that the manure contains the excess residue of the unused force-fed minerals. They're forcing them to eat something they don't need, goes through the digestive tract, comes out into the manure, and when it gets out into the soil, it actually contributes to the soil imbalance. So the soil becomes more unbalanced when you force feed minerals to the animals. If you force feed an inappropriate mineral mix, animals may attempt to balance their mineral needs by eating dirt, chewing wood, or even eating dead rabbits. And that's a real picture, and that steer was eating a dead rabbit to try to make up for a severely phosphorus deficient ration. Now, if you have an individual mineral program, here's how the cycle looks then. To start out, the soil can be poorly balanced. And then, of course, the grass is poorly balanced. With a proper mineral program, the animal will consume only what it needs to balance what it's already getting from the grass and forages. That way, the manure only contains the excess residues chosen by the animals to meet deficiencies. The animal will eat minerals to satisfy its biological needs, but all the minerals are not 100% digestible. So some of it comes back through, and then when that gets back out on the soil, shortly after mineral deprivation. But it may take several months before you show clinical signs. In other words, if you're not getting the right minerals, things are starting to go wrong, but it may take several months before you actually start seeing the effects of that. If you cut minerals in a cow's diet, you're setting the timer for production and reproduction failure in the future. When you think about this, I've seen this over the years happen a lot of times with mineral programs. Customers will be on a good mineral program or a good nutritional program, and for some reason, things are going along really, really good. And then for some reason, something comes up and they say, well, gee, I could buy this cheaper. I've spent a lot of money on this. And they think, well, maybe whatever, I can get it cheaper. So they go to a different program because it's cheaper. And, for a while, nothing happens. I mean, it can be several months, and the animals are still healthy. And the guy thinks about it, well, gee, I'm saving a lot of money because not spending all that money on minerals, and animals are still doing good. That's skating by the edge of the cliff because with a certain amount of time, that's going to catch up. And then the animals are going to start not doing this good. Their health is going to start sliding downhill. And usually by then, the way we humans are, by then we've forgotten some of the changes we made. We think, gee, I wonder what's wrong with my cows. And actually, what's wrong with his cows is 6 months earlier, he changed from a good mineral program to a poor mineral program, but it took that long for him to catch up to it. So don't be fooled by some of those things. I guess this is the main concept we wanted to leave with you. Individual free choice minerals replaces the natural way that animals used to use to balance their mineral needs. Appreciate the time you've taken to listen to this, and this will be the end of this program for tonight, and thanks a lot for joining us. So, Carrie, if you're there,
I am.
What should I do now?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take the presentation back over, and okay. I'm going to quickly introduce Bill Roberts. Bill, are you with us?
I am with you.
Okay, and did you have anything that you'd like to add to what Doc had to say tonight?
Well, I just want to emphasize some of what I have experienced over the last 3 or 4 years that we have enjoyed the application of the cafeteria mineral program, and that is I was university trained, and we were trained to do forage analysis and compare it with the tables for the normal nutritional requirements of that particular class of animals. And I did all the things I was supposed to do on a operation that we were functioning in western Tennessee, and we began to see mineral deficiencies on our calves. And we looked at all our tables, all our forage analysis, and according to the university procedures and protocols, we were spot on. But it turned out that one of the unforeseen environmental circumstances that was unknown to us at the time, the coal industry up in Kentucky caused the copper to be bound in the forage, and even though the analysis was adequate for the cattle and the class of cattle we had, the available, what Doc talked about, bioavailability, was not available, so we were actually experiencing zinc toxicity symptoms due to a copper deficiency, even though everything pointed to the fact we should not. So I was early on pointed to the emphatic reality that the cafeteria mineral system is the only way to assure that your animal performance